Have you ever wondered what the top five missed questions are on the real estate exam or where the people have the most trouble? Let's try AI and see what they have to say on it. Some really cool options they have on Apex Assistant is the AI integration. Let's start with what are the most commonly missed questions on the real estate exam? Fair housing laws, agency relationships, contract law, property ownership types, and of course, real estate math calculations. Let's take this one step further and put it into practice. Create a 10 question quiz for me that covers the five most missed questions on real estate exam. Here we go. So here's a quick quiz that I created out of the five most missed or problematic topics that are on this exam. Which of the following is not a protected class under the Fair Housing Act? Race, religion, income level, national origin. I believe this one is C, income level. Obviously, you can't get a mortgage, but they aren't going to prevent you from buying a house if you have cash or something. We'll get the answers at the very end, okay? In a dual agency situation, the agent must favor the buyer, favor the seller, treat both parties equally, withdraw from the transaction. Treat both parties equally. Obviously, dual agency means you represent both parties. What type of contract is created when only one party makes a promise? Bilateral contract, unilateral contract, implied contract, expressed contract. I believe this is a unilateral contract, bi meaning two, uni meaning one. I'm just using process of elimination on this. What type is created when only one party makes a promise? So I'm thinking one party, unilateral, could be an implied contract. We'll pull this one up. Which form of ownership is created when title is held by one person? Joint tenancy, tenancy in common, severalty, tenancy by the entirety. I believe it's D, which is tenancy by the entirety, because title is held by just one person, so they entirely hold it. We'll see here. If a property sells for 250,000, the commission rate is 6%. Me being a realtor, this is the easiest. You get your commissions calculated half the time before you even write the offer. So 6% on 250 is 15,000. That's if you duly represented him. Every offer is negotiated differently. Usually, this is split between a buyer and a seller agent. If you only represent, let's say, the listing or the buyer, you'd be at 7,500 if that made sense. They split it equally. So, but the math on this, if they want you to know, 6% just times 250,000. If you just wanted to do it easy, you could take it down to 1%, which is 2,500, times that by six, and that's how you get your amount. Which federal law prohibits discrimination in housing based on familial status? Civil rights. Now, this one's always tough, just for the test, because there's fair housing, there's civil rights, there's different laws, and they want you to know which one created certain things. So, which federal law prohibits discrimination in housing based on familial status? Civil rights, Americans with Disabilities, Fair Housing Act, Equal Credit Opportunity. This usually applies to loans and mortgages, so just remember that. I'm going to go with Fair Housing Act. We'll see it, check it at the end here. What type of agency is created when a broker represents both the buyer and seller in the same transaction? So the key word from this is both, right? Both buyer and seller. Siegel agency, dual. Dual is it. Designated agency or sub-agency. Dual agency, just both. Yeah, somebody just look for the word dual, both buyer and seller. In real estate, the statutes of frauds requires that certain contracts must be notarized, in writing, witnessed, recorded. Hmm. Certain contracts must be, I'm going to go ahead and notarized. All contracts need to be in writing or they aren't any good. Witnessed, I don't know if that does much. Recorded, obviously, you do have to record the deed. We'll pull this one, and then it's something you should know for the next time you take it, right? Which type of property ownership gives each owner the right to sell their share without the consent of the owners? Joint tenancy, tenancy in common, community property, cooperative. So this is one that I usually have difficulty with. I'm going to go joint tenancy on this one. We'll pull the answers and I'll tell us why here in a minute. A property is listed for 180,000. The down payment is 20%. What is the loan amount? So simple math, 10%, you just move the decimal point over, is 1,800. 1,800 times 2, what is it, 3,600. So, yeah. So if you move this over 1, you're looking at, I'm sorry, 18,000. 18,000 times 2 is 36,000. So 20% of 180 grand is 36 grand. If you don't know how to do that, the percentages, times it by 10% is usually easiest, and then times it by how many 10% there are. So you give me the answers for the above questions. There we go. Income level, that's it. We knew that one. Treat both parties equally. We knew that one. It is unilateral. So if it says one, think uno. Severalty. So this one here is one that I missed. We can pull up more info on that in a minute. Which form of ownership is created when title is held by one person? Severalty. We'll pull that out in a minute. 15,000, we knew the commission rate. Fair Housing Act, we did get that one correct. Civil Rights, Americans with Disabilities, Fair Housing Act. Dual agency, just remember both dual. So this one here is in writing. So in real estate, the statutes of frauds requires that certain contracts must be, the answer they want is in writing. All contracts, as far as I know, I've always been taught verbal is not any good until it's in writing. So anyways, everything needs to be in writing. I guess is the answer that he wants you to have, right? Tenancy in common. Which type of property ownership gives each owner the right to sell their share without consent? Tenancy in common. So they each own their own portion of it basically, and they can sell off their rights. Oh, see, they tricked me on this one. So look, a property is listed at 180,000. If the property payment is 20%, what is the loan amount? So 20% is 36,000. I needed to subtract that from there and then get the answer. 144,000. So it should have been that one right there because obviously you subtract 36,000 from this, and this is where you're at. So make sure you read the questions fully because they did give me an option to not read them fully. That's what we went with. So let's have them explain severalty a little bit. And then after that, it should be a quick thing. So you can go on this though at any time and create questions around mouth, calculus, anything, any questions you want. 5 hardest national test, questions you can get. So realty is a form of property ownership. Here's a concise explanation. Ownership by one person is not several people. Severalty. Single owner has full control, no co-owners. Sole ownership. I've heard that one several times. Right, so they sell without consent. You can lease the property, you can will it to others. Individual homeowner contrast, different from joint ownership from like tenancy in common or joint tenancy. The definition. This helps me sometimes learn the word a little bit better. A form of property ownership where the title is held by one person, entity alone, without co-owners, realty. I'm trying to think of a way to think of that type of ownership granted with. So severalty, just remember that one owner, title held by one person. All right, guys. If you guys want one-on-one test questions, one-on-one test guidance, make sure and reach out. Again, my name is Sadler Priest. I am a 10-year real estate agent. I love this stuff. Love seeing agents succeed. All right, guys. See you on the next one.